Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is brought to you by Movement. You can get 15% off and free shipping and free returns by going to movement.com/inside.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Gaming for Monday.
It's Monday. Hey, we all survived the weekend. This one was a hard one for me, and I assume for everyone else. So good job, everyone.
So when it
That two people? All right.
So when it comes to Rockstar, people have had the same question for years now.
Yeah, why didn't GTA 5 get any single player DLC? When are they remaking San Andreas? Where's my burrito?
That's a lot of questions. No, actually, we're talking about Bully 2, and when is that coming out?
Oh yeah, that's way more important than my burrito.
Well, now we have an answer, and it turns out that Rockstar did work on a sequel to Bully for about a year and a half.
Oh, that stings. Ow. So yeah, Video Games Chronicle, which is a really respectable name for a website, reported that work on the sequel started in 2008. That's a long time ago, when co-founder Dan Houser and some other devs wrote a script for the game.
Yeah, it again starred the first game's protagonist, Jimmy, and it started off in his stepfather's house during the summertime when school was out of session. Very similar to Harry Potter.
The script sounded pretty bare bones though, because why would you write a lot for a game that hasn't really been greenlit yet? Had the first few scenes in an outline, but apparently the group never decided on a final direction for the story.
But the story doesn't end there.
Story about the game, not the game, whatever.
Tell us more, Brian.
Yeah, so a few years after that, this was sometime after the release of Red Dead Redemption in 2010, a team did start working on a concept for the sequel. They were based in Rockstar, New England. It was reportedly led by the art team. They spent between a year and 18 months working on an early version of Bully 2, so it was more than a script. There was actually some prototyping involved here.
Yeah, they came up with a playable version of a small slice of the sequel, and it was built using Rockstar's Rage engine, makes you so mad, which they've used to build basically all their other big games.
All of it makes sense. You know, you'd use an existing engine, you just have a bare bones kind of writing, maybe you make a few areas, run around, see how it feels. But apparently, the sequel fizzled out, according to Video Games Chronicle's sources, and they eventually moved on to other things.
Yeah, one source actually said that it existed, it was playable, it was just a shame it never got off the ground. We're crying here, a little sad.
Yeah, it's rough. You'd like to imagine that there is a pristine, complete Bully 2 and not just some like textureless void of blocky man running around and punching people. That's probably what it looked like. It takes a lot of work to make a game complete. Absolutely. And to think that there was a game that was finished and Rockstar said, no, cancel it. That's not really how it goes. So along those lines, it is important to note that these kinds of projects get canceled all the time. It's just a part of game development.
That's right, yeah. Some games start off as concepts that go anywhere, and others can get pretty deep in development before someone just decides to pull the plug.
There are tons of other examples of this happening. Microsoft made headlines years ago when it canceled a much anticipated dragon action game, Scalebound, from Platinum Games, which is weird because Platinum, once they announce something, they usually always ship it. And that was pretty far along considering that they announced it at E3 and then later showed a demo at Gamescom, so it was totally playable. One of those weird situations.
And then going way back in the day, there was the infamous StarCraft Ghost, which is a spin-off third-person stealth shooter in the StarCraft universe. Not made by Blizzard, it was like Guerrilla Glass.
They shopped it around to a few people,
Yeah, Blizzard announced that back in 2002, but then put it on indefinite hold 4 years later about. I saw it at E3.
Yeah,
it was playable.
It was at E3 twice, I think. It had one demo and then they took it back, worked it, had another demo and still couldn't make it out the door.
I think it was gonna be a console exclusive at one point. They didn't really know what they were doing with it.
Yeah, Blizzard's had even more cancellations recently, right, Brian?
Yeah, more recently, Kotaku reported that they canceled a first-person shooter also set in the StarCraft universe. So there's something about StarCraft spin-offs that are just snake-bitten, I guess.
It sounds so perfect on paper, right? You get to be a space marine, walk around in big ol' armor with a gun, but I can see how like something that sounds cool in practice might get really boring and stupid.
I want to just be a pylon that sits there and watches.
Yeah, I want to be the dude that's in the turret, just spinning all day.
Your job is to take this base and raise it off the ground and fly it and land it.
Yeah, the dude who's piloting the command center.
I just want to be a Terran supply depot and just go up and down, up and down.
For some reason, these games just don't come together. I don't know why. It'd be really fun to be in a depot popping up and down all day.
To bring up the big list of misery, EA also canceled a story-driven Star Wars game. And they shut its team Visceral Games down just completely.
That sucks, because Visceral Games had a great track record of releases, but just couldn't find the sales.
Yeah.
And also EA's evil, blah, blah, blah. To a company that's less evil, at least in the public eye, Nintendo even said that Metroid Prime 4 was being completely rebooted with a new studio because it just wasn't up to their standards.
And of course, it wouldn't be one of these episodes without mentioning Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
Or Episode 3, however you want to call it.
Yeah, people will keep asking for that until the heat death of the universe, and Gabe and Valve will just keep making mountains of cash by inventing another hyper-complicated summer sale meta game.
As for Bully 2, it was never officially announced, but after the first one developed a cult-like following over the years, fans have asked for another installment.
It's like the lesser-known Rockstar title that you bust out to prove how cool and gamer you are.
I'm more of a manhunt or a state of emergency kind of guy myself.
Those are deep cuts, yeah.
I'll see you at the Midnight Club while I'm doing a smuggler's run.
The first one, we're talking about Bully by the way, came out more than a decade ago and it was a modest hit by Rockstar standards, with the PlayStation 2 version selling 1.5 million copies. That's not bad, but their bar has gone way higher since then. Considering the massive success of Grand Theft Auto and the Red Dead Redemption games, it's kinda not hard to see Bully getting lost in the shuffle.
Let's go ahead and look at another game from Rockstar, that's Max Payne 3. It sold 4 million copies in its first year, so arguably, Bully isn't even as big as Max Payne, which is sort of on the lower end tier of Rockstar's catalog.
And here's what hurts. Even Max Payne 3 was seen as a disappointment, at least in Rockstar's and Take-Two's eyes. In July of 2012, their parent company Take-Two announced a loss of 110 million for the quarter, and they kind of blamed the lower than expected sales of Max Payne 3 and Spec Ops: The Line as reasons for that.
Two games that were loved by critics for the most part. I think somewhat universally given the thumbs up. I don't know, that's a shame. We haven't seen a Max Payne 4 yet, and I don't think we've heard of anything.
Rockstar was like, yeah, we still love Max, we still love Bully, we love those series, but we can't find a way to make them hit like we need them to right now. I think Max Payne 3 was their biggest swing. There's no reason that game didn't sell as well as it should have, aside from just people weren't into it.
Fortunately or unfortunately, Rockstar is just used to big sales numbers right now for its games. Red Dead Redemption 2 has sold 25 million copies.
Good lord!
Yeah.
That's a lot!
GTA 5 has also been called the best-selling entertainment product in history with more than 110 million copies sold.
So while a few million in sales might be considered a big success at other developers, yeah, it's not the case from Rockstar, and that's not where they're playing anymore.
Some have even speculated as well that Rockstar just isn't interested in making a non-online service game anymore.
Bully is set in a school. You could have a whole online school full of little bullies. It's like real life, really. It's like going to high school all over again.
Oh god, flashbacks.
It makes sense considering how successful GTA Online has been for Rockstar. I do think that Rockstar, if they really needed to, could develop an online service around Bully that would be fun and work. They did it for Red Dead. I feel like that could happen. It's more the unit sales barrier. People just aren't into it, or at least that's not demonstrated.
But what has Rockstar's relationship with single-player type content been lately, Brian?
Not that great lately. They famously didn't make any single-player DLC for GTA 5, and then when they were asked about single-player DLC for Red Dead 2, Rockstar said they're 100% focused on online right now. So you could definitely be forgiven for assuming that online modes are all Rockstar cares about right now.
It seems like the market is like this. You have to release a crazy amount of single-player content just to get the games in people's hands. Then once it's there, then you have the online mode, and that's the only thing people care about. Because the actual rate that people finish games like GTA 5 or Red Dead is really low.
Typically, yeah, you play it for the first week and go neat, and then your friends are online, you're like, well, I don't want to play alone, and then you just sort of split the player base. So there's other games that kind of marry the two, like Destiny, which is kind of a more interesting way of doing it. Maybe that's the way you do Bully. It's just a never-ending game. I don't know.
Jeez, just like school.
On the other hand, all this happened well before GTA 5 launched back in 2013 and went on to become one of the top grossing games of all time.
Yeah, so if we put it in context, back when Rockstar supposedly canceled Bully, they really didn't know at the time how profitable online modes can be, so I don't think that specifically factored into their decision-making back then.
Yeah, but they sure have learned how profitable they can be since then, though.
What are the stats for GTA Online, Brian?
It's just ridiculous. GTA Online has been out for 6 years now. In August, meaning just a couple months ago, it was still averaging nearly 100,000 players. That's on Steam alone. It just always seems to hang around those bestseller and most played lists, and it still is bringing in piles of money for Rockstar. Last year, it was reported that GTA 5 brought in more than $6 billion with a B in revenue. And just this August, company officials said its revenue actually grew this year over last. So it's just this little engine that keeps on going and making money for them.
So I guess when you're asking the question, why cancel Bully 2 and focus online? There's your answer.
I want to just shout out, by the way, in that atmosphere with GTA Online growing and growing, they still made Red Dead Redemption 2. Hopefully that doesn't lead to another Valve situation where they're like, why would we work this hard on making single player games? We have all this revenue from GTA Online. I really hope Rockstar's the kind of developer that still has a hunger and a passion for making really tight single player projects.
They have so many studios around the world, maybe it's feasible that they have sort of like a Fox Searchlight, like a spin-off team where it's like, we still want to make smaller games like we used to. We're gonna just put a smaller team on it while the big team works on all the big stuff. That's how they made the original GTA, just a small little game that could, and then it had a bug in it, and
Actually,
they went, whoa.
I learned something interesting the other day. It was the DOS version of Terminator that had a top-down open world driving segment, and that tech eventually went on to be Grand Theft Auto. None of that's important, never mind. Getting back to Bully 2 though, which is what this episode's theoretically about, it's also possible that whatever they came up with, it just wasn't that fun. That's the important thing to think about too. We all like to think, oh, Bully was fun, slap a 2 on it, it's gotta be twice as fun.
But Rockstar is pretty well known for its polish it puts on games. They delayed games like Red Dead 2 for months just to get them perfect.
So it's not hard to imagine them deciding to cut their losses if Bully 2 just wasn't working, or if they just couldn't see a grander picture there than just a kid running around beating up people. They certainly got the money, so just cut and move on to other things if they need to. At some point, that's a pretty smart decision.
Also remember that Bully was never as big of a game as some of the other Rockstar franchises, so it was probably a much easier decision to pull the plug on that, as sad as it may have been for people who have their hearts in it. I mean, if the founders of the company are like, here's a script I made for this, I want to revisit an old friend. You don't tell 90s George Lucas no. you go, okay.
You nod, and then we get Jar Jar Binks.
It's also not out of the question that they could come back sometime in the future with a new Bully game.
Yeah, what would that look like, Brian?
You know, maybe Dan Houser or somebody comes up with a new idea that catches fire and they can decide to build it out. But for now, they've got their hands full. They're doing Red Dead Online and then GTA Online, obviously, and then even a bigger game in the future.
GTA 6.
That's right.
Nothing's been officially announced yet, but we've had little leaks and rumblings and bubbles up here's and there's. There are rumors saying holiday 2020. Maybe I could see them announcing mid-2020 and then delaying it until like summer 2021.
It's weird because we're in this cycle now where usually we'd play something like GTA 4, forget about it, move on, and then they announce GTA 5, you go, oh, that's right. It's been so long since I played GTA, but Grand Theft Auto's still been making headlines for the last 6 years. Feels like it's coming out so soon, when in reality, it is actually lining up.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Also, what would happen with GTA Online? Then you have to run two services that are ostensibly sharing that. I don't know. I said similar things about Red Dead Online, and they launched that exactly like it was GTA Online. So maybe they can just keep launching the same service with new maps, new modes.
Yeah, and if GTA 6 is coming out that soon, it's probably all hands on deck, once again, right now at Rockstar, because that's their marquee franchise, and you better believe they want to make sure that that one is also perfect.
Yeah, a Bully sequel, even if they got a great idea for one, will probably be backburnered for another few years at least.
Yeah.
Or they just have like 5 people over there working on a concept, but nothing that would be ready for prime time for quite a while. Welcome being wrong about that. I'm not putting my ego on it. They surprise release Bully 2 tomorrow. I'll be delighted.
But if, like me, you're also upset, leave a comment saying you want State of Emergency to come back.
I remember the run animations in that game are pretty cool.
Everyone looks kind of weird.
You can like slide tackle people.
Yeah, kind of. It was okay. It was fine.
But bring it back. Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is brought to you by Movement, because if you're going to be counting the days until Bully 2 comes out, you're going to need a watch to tick all those seconds by. Let me tell you, time never moves faster than when you're staring directly at a second hand, ticking agonizingly forward. There's only like 30,000 billion seconds left until Bully 2. Count and savor each and every one of those seconds with a fashionable new watch from Movement. Movement watches start at just $95, meaning you'll have plenty of cash left over to invest. And that collector's deluxe edition of Bully 2 when it finally comes out. It may cost $4,000, but you'll have the money because Movement saved it all for you. They sold over 2 million watches worldwide across more than 160 companies, and their collections are always expanding to give you new options. So if you've looked before, didn't find anything you liked, you should look again. And I know where you can do that. That's movement.com/inside. It's mvmt.com/inside. That's 15% off your order with free shipping and free returns in case you don't like the fit, don't like the watch, whatever happens, they got your back. That's movement.com/inside for 15% off today. So thank you, Movement, for the sponsorship and helping us survive until Bully 2 finally comes out.
From places such as Kotaku and PC Gamer.
We have those friends too, I think. Also, they don't work at Rockstar?
No. Why do they need to?
All right, I mean, so the leaks have to be true, right,
gotta-
Lars?
they gotta be true.
Yeah, I mean,
Tread like that.
all gaming knowledge can be overheard in the bathroom at PC Gamer's offices. You just hang out there long enough and you get every leak there is. Yeah, obviously, this is all,